The keys to safe electrical work are planning and preparation. The better you can assess and plan for risks, the better you can avoid them. That's why the NFPA 70E standard requires creating a job safety plan before starting any work that involves exposure to electrical hazards. It should be written by a qualified person, who is most often the employee in charge of the job. If it's your responsibility to write the job safety plan, you should include a description of the job and the tasks it consists of, the electrical hazards associated with each task, an electric shock risk assessment, an arc flash risk assessment, the work procedures that are involved with the task, and an emergency response plan in case something goes wrong. But even the most detailed and thought-out plans can go wrong if the equipment that you're using is damaged or defective. So you need to make sure that your equipment and test instruments are approved for the purpose you're using them for, and that you read the manufacturer's instructions for their operation. The NFPA 70E standard also specifies that you should visually inspect all test instruments, equipment, and accessories for defects and damage before each use. One way to verify that test instruments are working properly is through the live dead live test. This involves attaching the instrument to a known source of voltage before and after you use it to test for the absence of voltage on the machinery that you're working with. When you have verified that all of your equipment is ready to use, you need to conduct risk assessments for electric shock and arc flash hazards. These assessments identify any hazards, estimate the likelihood of a potential injury or adverse health effect, and determine what protective measures are needed to complete a task safely. During the assessment, you need to determine the voltage of all the conductors in your vicinity and the voltage ratings of the tools you're going to use. You should also consider the design of the equipment that you're working on and how well it has been maintained. These factors can help you calculate the electric shock protection boundaries using the table that the NFPA 70E standard provides. These barriers should be marked using signs or other visual indicators. There are two types of electric shock protection boundaries: the limited approach boundary and the restricted approach boundary. The NFPA 70E defines the limited approach boundary as an approach limit at a distance from an exposed energized electrical conductor or circuit part within which an electric shock hazard exists. And the restricted approach boundary is the approach limit at a distance from an exposed energized electrical conductor or circuit part within which there is an increased likelihood of electric shock due to electrical arc-over combined with inadvertent movement. The main difference is that the area within a limited approach boundary poses less of an electrical risk than the area within a restricted approach boundary. So while unqualified personnel can enter the limited approach boundary with a qualified chaperone, only qualified personnel are allowed to enter a restricted approach boundary. And specialized PPE that isn't needed in a limited approach boundary may be required in a restricted approach boundary. The NFPA 70E also stresses the importance of a third boundary, the arc flash boundary, stating the arc flash boundary separates an area in which a person is likely to be exposed to a second-degree burn from an area in which the potential for injury does not likely include a second-degree burn. The standard uses 1.2 calories per square centimeter to determine an arc flash boundary because it is the distance at which there is a probability that the employee will not suffer a permanent physical injury. Although you can still experience an arc flash burn from outside the arc flash boundary, the burn is less likely to be as severe as a burn that occurs within the boundary. Once you cross the boundary, you're more likely to suffer second, third, and even fourth degree burns in the event of an arc flash. So NFPA 70E states that any body part that crosses into the arc flash boundary must be protected from the potential thermal effects of the hazard. Once you have written your job safety plan, inspected your tools and equipment, and determined what the boundaries are for the equipment that you're working on, you're ready to begin the job.